Record. All right, welcome everybody for another Next Level Coaching call. Today we're going to work on and talk about, discuss, brainstorm on lead generation on a $0 budget. So thanks everybody for joining. This is being recorded. So welcome Craig, welcome Shannon. So
Thank you.
Want to kind of just get started, so I've got about 4 or 5 things written down on things that newer agents or experienced agents can do to lead generate, get leads on virtually no money or at minimal cost. We say zero, but a couple things I will mention have small cost to them, and then you can always add on top of these. So the first thing I wanted to talk about is, your contact management database, right? Your sphere of influence, and making sure you're reaching out and touching them. And when we refer to a touch, we're talking to just contact. So I want to talk about a daily 5-5-5 plan. So this is a plan that, I actually got from my good buddy Brad Korn, who's a top agent here in the area. He's currently writing a awesome book with Michael Gerber called the E-Myth Real Estate Agent. So that should be coming out here shortly. But this is exactly what Brad does to close a minimum of 100 properties every single year. And this is it. It's basic, it's simple, and it's it almost sounds too simple to be true. And I was just talking to him about a week and a half ago, and I was like, so you still doing that? And he goes, well, how many houses did I close last year? I said, I don't know. I think he was right at just over 100, 103, 105. He goes, yeah, I do it every day. And that's all I do. That's my main lead generation. So it's simply talking to 5 people a day, writing 5 thank you notes, and sending 5 letters. Okay? That's simple. So how to get started if you haven't. So what you do, you get your database, right? Get their contact information. The first thing you want to do is write them a letter. Now, once you write this letter one time, you have it. It's a template. And all the letter simply is, if you're new in real estate, it's an introduction letter, right? So it's, hi, this, to whoever it is, just want to let you know that I've entered the real estate game, and I'm a licensed agent with EXP, and you're a good friend of mine. And I just want to let you know that I haven't, been in contact with you that often, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to remain in contact with you a little more. And so expect my phone call in the next 3 to 5 days. Okay. If you're already an established agent, but you haven't been following up with your contacts, it's called a reconnect letter. We're going to reconnect to our sphere. And so it's basically saying, and I'll put the reconnect letter up in there. Shannon, remind me later on to post this in our group. But it's simply, hey, I just want to let you know that I haven't touched base with you in a while. I'm in real estate, and it's basically apologizing that you haven't touched base with them. And again, it's saying I'm going to, reach out to you in the next 3 to 5 days. So what that does is that forces you, that holds you accountable to reaching out and talking to them. Okay. So here's the key. Don't get your whole database of 300 people and send all 300 people this letter on day one. Because if you think about it, you're telling them you're going to contact them in 3 to 5 days. It's very hard for somebody to go and contact 300 people in 3 to 5 days. So I want you to send out 5 of them. Send out 5 of these letters, and then wait 3 to 5 days, right? Then wait 3 days. The next day, on day 2, send out 5 letters, and then you're going to wait 3 to 5 days. So what happens is you send out this letter. 3 days later, you call those 5 people, right? Now, when you're calling them, I don't want you to call and ask for referrals. It's just calling and touching base with them. So you call, touch base, talk to them, ask them how they're doing. A good idea is maybe Facebook stock them ahead of time, so it gives you some material to talk to them about. And then just, a quick 5 to 10 minute conversation. At the end of the conversation, that's the only time you're going to just go, hey, by the way, do you know anybody who's thinking about buying, selling, or investing in real estate? Okay. 5 to 10 minute phone conversation, 5 people a day. And then the third 5 is then after you talk to them, I want you to write a thank you note, right? Just, hey, it was great talking to you. Whatever. Mention, their kids, mention their dogs, whatever it is. Simple. 5, 5, 5, right? So if you do that 5 days a week, that's 25 contacts you'll make in a week's period of time. Figure out how long it's going to take to get through your database. If you just do that, that can get you hundreds of deals a year, right? Craig,
Matt, the one thing we could do, Matt, as well, to bring it to what we like to say the next level, is actually put those systems in, or even create a plan within KV Core, where you put those people on a systematic plan where, you send out the letter day one. It will give you a task and remind you 3 days later to call those folks, and then it'll put it on a regular basis where you're reaching back and touching them over a time frame.
Yeah, and that's the key. All these things should be systemized. So you should be using a contact management database to tell you exactly who you need to call. And then the number one thing is you have to have time blocked out time every single day to make those phone calls. But literally talking to 5 people a day is not that hard. I mean, you can make these calls to and from a listing, right? If you get a voicemail, leave them a message. When they call you back, if you're driving, you can have those conversations in the car, on your way to the gym, on the way to pick up your kids from school, whatever. But just make it a goal to contact 5 people a day, send 5 letters, and write 5 thank yous. Okay.
Yeah, and if I can chime in on this, like what you said, Matt, you definitely want to make sure that you are not, especially if you're adding them into a database, do not add them all on the same day, because what's going to happen is your database is going to look empty, and then all of a sudden in 3 days you're going to have 300 things that you need to do.
Right. Yeah.
And another thing that you may want to do also is I like to prioritize my people. I don't like to spend a lot of time with people that I think are not, I hate to say not worth, but people that are not as serious, right? So my thing is, if someone has sent me a referral, or if they sent me multiple referrals, I call them an A+ client. If they sent me one referral, I call them an A client. If they've never sent me a referral, but I'm close to them and I know they probably would, I call them a B client. And then everybody else is a C. And so what I do is whenever I'm going and I'm making those calls, or I'm adding them into my database, I want to add in my A+ first. I want to add in my A's second, my B's third, and my C's last, because my C's are not as important, obviously, as my A+, A's, and B's. Does that make sense?
Yep. Awesome. And that's a great segue. So I want to talk about the second thing we can do on a zero budget to build and to get leads. So you mentioned referrals and people that give you referrals. So I want to talk about referrals for a little bit, because I think it's a way that you can definitely build a big part of your business if you do it properly. So the first part I want to talk about is becoming a connector with referrals, right? So one of the conversations you can have when you're talking to these people is letting them know that you are a connector. So what do I mean by connector? I want you to become the person that when somebody thinks about anything that has to do with their house or with real estate, they're calling you to get that referral for somebody else. So an example, I want when one of my clients, when they have a landscaping issue, right? They need some landscaping done. I want them to go, well, let's call Matt, because Matt will know a good landscaper, right? because I'm gonna let them know that. So when they call me, I'm gonna refer them to a landscaper. So the first thing you need to do is you need to build that referral network. So I want you guys to go out and go through a list. Get a notepad of paper out, right? And I want you just to list everything that you can think of that has to do with a house, has to do with home repair, has to do with house maintenance, has to do with buying a house, selling a house, renting a house, whatever. If it has to do with housing, I want you to write it down. So landscape, plumber, electrician, housekeeper, roofer, pest guy. I mean, just go down, home stager, whatever it is, write all those down. And then I want you to start writing. I want you to come up with 2 people for each category.
You know, Matt, there is a system out there. It's called Homekeeper Pro that a lot of people actually in real estate are actually getting paid for those 2 and 3 different people to be on their list every year. And it's another avenue for generating income as well.
Right. Well, and here's the goal. Yeah. You can generate income. And a lot of these and that's a whole nother zero-based marketing concept that if we have time, we'll get to. But what you want to do is be that connector. So when you're talking to them on the phone, you want to have a reason for calling them, right? So, hey, I haven't talked to you anywhere, but I also want to let you know that you have any real estate needs, and then kind of go into that list. I can help you out. I have that referral network. So here's what's going to happen. Eventually, when you let all these people know you have a database of 300 and you're calling 5 a day and you're letting them know that you're the connector for all these people, eventually you're going to start getting phone calls. So just like the other day, I had somebody call me and they're like, "Hey, Matt, I know you know everybody who has to do with real estate. Do you have a landscaper?" And I was like, "Yeah, you know what? I have one of the best landscapers in town. His name's Chris, and I will, here's his contact information." But then you take it one step further. You also tell them, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to call Chris and let him know that you're going to be getting a hold of him in the next week, 2 weeks, whatever their timeline is. You ask them about the project, ask them about what they're doing, right? Then you pick up the phone and you call Chris. "Hey, Chris, I have Susie who needs some landscaping done. I just referred her your name and number. She's going to be giving you a call within the next week, but I also wanted to give you her contact information. Now make sure that, you give her a little bit of time because she's not quite ready, but in a week, if you haven't heard from her, go ahead and give her a call. I've already talked to her and gotten permission to do that," right? "Oh, by the way, Chris, I think this is the 3rd or 4th person I've referred you. How's business going?" Right? So I just reminded him that I've given him a bunch of referrals. I didn't ask directly for the referral right then, but I'm reminding him that, or I may say, "So, how'd that landscape job go with John that I gave you, 6 months ago? Did you get that done?" Again, reminding him that I'm giving him referrals. Okay. Then I'm going to end the conversation by saying, "Oh, by the way, do you know anybody who's thinking about buying, selling, or investing in real estate?" Okay. So,
man, I think you're totally right, man. To set that up at the absolute beginning, expect that if you got lenders, if you got plumbers, if anybody you're referring out there, you sending them business, you need to be expecting them to send you business too. And that expectation needs to be set initially.
Right.
As soon as you set that relationship up.
And we call that a referral contract. Okay. Mm-hmm. You don't have to have a written contract. It's verbal. But a lot of these people, so once you get that whole list of people, what you want to do, the main people that are going to be the top referring people back and forth, your lender for sure, plumbers, roofers, people like that painters, that people are going to be coming to you on a regular basis. You want to take them out to lunch, take them out for coffee, and have that conversation with them, right? Talk to them and say, "Hey, I need a good painter, and I've used you a couple times. I think you're really good. I want you to be my referral partner of choice. And in return, I would like you to be my referral partner of choice," right? And have that verbal conversation. you don't have to have anything written down, but just say, hey, if I'm going to be referring you, I expect, it's a win-win. And, so you have that conversation over lunch, right? And so after you've given them a couple of those referrals, you remind them, hey, do you have any for me? You don't, the whole goal is you want to come from contribution. You don't want to come, well, I'm only giving you referrals because you're going to give me referrals. That's the wrong mindset. Come from contribution and it will come back. Have a referral goal that you have in your business. And your referral goal should be that you give out more referrals than you get, right? Mm-hmm. So a referral goal for the week can be, my referral goal this week, give out 5 referrals and receive 2 referrals, right? You're not saying receive directly from giving them out, because receiving them may come from the 5 people that you didn't give referrals to. But if that's just your goal, the main one that you want to hit is giving out the 5 referrals. You really don't have a whole lot of control over what comes in, right? But if your goal is to get to, and make that known, post that on Facebook, put out there, my weekly goal this week is to give 5 referrals and to get 2. So who out there, needs help, and who are my contractors out there that need referrals? I'm in real estate. I'm talking to people all the time. I'm working with, like today. Okay. If you're in the Kansas City area and you're on here, I've got a buddy of mine. He's actually on here, John Tapp. He needs a clean out crew. I've got a couple that I'm going to call, but if anybody else in this area has a good clean out crew, give me a call. I'll get them in touch with John so his client can use the clean out crew, right? That's simple. It's out there. Boom. Let's build that referral network. You want to be that connector, and you want everybody to know you're that connector. Now, and talking with John earlier, we were kind of going over some of this, and you were talking about that homekeeper, Craig, which is great, and you can have your maybe your top referral partners out there on your website or whatnot. But the goal is you want to get these people to call you. You want to have that conversation. You don't just want to have a list and go, here's all my referral partners, because then you don't get to have that one-on-one conversation. Okay. You don't get to, that way if Susie calls Chris, she may not even mention that it came from my referral list. But if Susie says, hey, who do you have for a landscaper? I say Chris, and I can go and now call Chris. Now I've just touched 2 people and I've connected them. Okay. So this is a great way to generate a ton of business. All it takes is time and on a 0 budget. It may cost you a lunch or coffee, but a lot of these vendors, if they know you're going to refer, they'll actually buy you the lunch or the coffee. So,
and another thing, Matt, whenever you go to these conventions in different places like that, there was this big red company that I used to run most of Louisiana for. We would actually get boxes of cards, go to the different national conventions, and you talk about handout. I mean, just card after card after card, and you'd be surprised. Matt, you locked up there, buddy. You okay?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay, cool. It was really scary. But we used to give out entire boxes of cards, and the referral base is people that build their business just off of this big convention referral base coming in. It's pretty amazing the amount of business you can actually get that way.
Definitely. So that's kind of the first part about referrals that I want to talk about. The second part about referrals is, what do you do once you get the referral, right? Couple things. The first thing I want to talk to you about is rewarding the behavior and not the outcome. Okay? So many people will say, they'll get a referral from somebody, and especially if they're new in the business, they'll want to reward the outcome and not the behavior, right? But you got to reward the behavior. They do not know. An example, if somebody gives you a buyer referral and they say, hey, my friend John has, he's getting ready to buy a house. Here's his contact information. Great. You get all that information. You contact John and you find out John, has 0 money to put down. He has horrible credit, whatever it is. The person that referred John does not know that. And John probably does not want them to know that, their whole financial situation. You need to reward that person that referred you for the behavior of rewarding you. So calling them up, sending them a thank you card, getting them a gift certificate. If you're with, Trip
Go ahead.
Valet, sending them a vacation voucher. Yeah, sending them a free voucher for a vacation and rewarding them. Thank you for sending me, the referral. Just a small thank you. Something that rewards the behavior and not the outcome. And don't wait until the deal closes to give them some type of, to thank them. Because
I mean, if you just go back to the simple theory of Pavlov and what he did with the dog, et cetera.
Right.
What he would do is every time he gave the water bowl to a dog, gave the food bowl to a dog, he would ring the bell. And after a while, as soon as he rung the bell, the dog started salivating just like the food was there, even though the food wasn't present. So you want to reward the behavior. And one thing I used to do a lot of is I just had these real cheap mugs made up, okay? And I would fill them up full of Hershey Kisses. And it would have one little balloon coming up that would say thank you. Now, I would have somebody put on a Martin Team jacket and actually deliver these to their business, their place of business, because people are going to drink coffee every day, and it's going to remind them of who I am each and every day. So that's kind of how we used to do it with our buyer's agents. How we still do it, actually.
Right. So reward the behavior, not the actual outcome. Okay. But now I want to get into, once you get that referral, when you reward that behavior, I want you to go back and what I'll call kind of go through the ancestry tree, right? I want you to call up that person and thank them for the referral, but then ask them how they got that person, right? And if you kind of go and you keep going back. So, Shannon, let me ask you, I know you probably closed a deal here recently. Tell me about a deal that you closed that was a referral recently.
Well, I'm not. Sorry. But no, I mean, basically for me, I have a lot. Like I said, I put my people in the A pluses, the A's, the B's, the C's, and so on and so forth.
Well, yeah, but give me an example. Give me somebody that you recently sold a property. Somebody, give me a name of somebody you recently that was referred to you that you sold a property for.
Oh, the Stepanek family.
Okay, the Stepanek family. Okay, so where did they come from?
They were referred by, believe it or not, what you're saying, by a painter.
Okay.
So I had given some business to this painter. This painter, hey, what? This person's going to be selling their house.
Okay, stop there. So they were referred by the painter. Okay. Mm-hmm. How did you find that painter? Think back.
His brother bought a house from me.
Okay, his brother. Now I know you don't think that much, but I'm going to ask you to think some more. How did you meet his brother?
Let's see. His brother was referred from someone else.
Who's that someone else?
Oh gosh, this has been years ago, man.
Yeah, I know. We're going back years.
Rick Kavanaugh. I don't know.
Yeah.
Right. So if you really think about it. So
yeah, I got to really think about this one. It was. I know that the person that I sold their house that referred me to the brother was a Dave Ramsey ELP. That part I do know.
Okay. All right. So we go back to there. Okay. So now here's what we call the ancestry tree that we're going to go back and follow, right? So the guy you just sold the house to, the painter, I want you to call that painter up, and I want you to thank that painter and say, here's the deal. I sold so-and-so a house, and I wanted to thank you for referring me them, right?
Right.
And just have that conversation and show your gratitude and just say, I'm so thankful. If it wasn't for you, they wouldn't have got their dream home, and they're in a great place and blah, blah, blah. Now go back to that painter's brother, give him a call and just say, hey, I just wanted to call and thank you because the Serpanos or whatever their name, and he's going to be like, what are you talking about? And kind of explain it. Go, well, if it wasn't for you, then I wouldn't have met this great couple, this great family, because you referred your brother and your brother referred me these people. And I just wanted to call and thank you. right?
Mhm.
And then go one deeper. The person that referred you to is the brother. See what I'm saying? If you can go back 5 or 6, the 7, go back as far as you can and thank those people, come from gratitude. What is that going to do for your referral business?
Oh yeah, that's incredible. I mean, I never even thought about going that far back. I always go to the painter and say, hey, thanks so much. I appreciate it. I owe you lunch, send trips, and then a send out card, whatever. Right.
Right.
But that's good going back on that tree. I never even thought about going back to his brother and so on and so forth.
Right. So again, think of this, and how much does this cost? Right.
Nothing.
Cost Shannon a little bit of thinking time, right? Because you have to think. But now you'll start going back.
I don't do that too much.
I mean, and you'll start going back years and years and years, and realizing, wow, I'm even to my best friend, right? Somebody, I did this exercise. Something they're like, well, my best friend referred me. I was like, okay, where'd you meet your best friend? Right. Well, that was back in 6th grade. I know, but where'd you meet him? Well, it was a party that so-and-so had as a birthday party. Okay. So where'd you meet that so-and-so who had the birthday party? Right. And literally think if you called somebody from 30 years ago and said, hey, I just wanted to thank you. Well, why? Well, because if you didn't have that birthday party 30 years ago, I wouldn't have met so-and-so who became my best friend, and thank you for that. He's an amazing person. But he referred me to so-and-so who referred me to so-and-so, and we just found them a great house. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, using the ancestry tree to kind of go back. So any more comments or questions on that before we kind of move on? I know we've got, I want to stay on track here.
No,
That's awesome, man.
I thought that was really good stuff there.
That's awesome.
All right. So the next thing I have is farming. Okay. And talking about farming and talking how to establish and dominate a farm. And I was just talking to an agent earlier this week. They closed 42 deals last year, right? Total. Out of those, 32 of them, there we go, the farmer. 32 of them came directly from his farm. Okay? So 32 out of 42 came directly from the farm. Now, here's how he got started. 0 money, 0 budget. Okay? So you want to take this one on there, Craig? You got that pitchfork a little too close to your desk there. What are they doing down in Louisiana?
I just try to hide it from my girlfriend,
So
my office is the only free reign I have.
So let's first talk about picking a farm area to farm, all right? So I think there's a couple of areas. One, you want to stay close and local, right? You want to become dominant. You don't want to pick a farm that's an hour away that you're not going to be seen in all the time. You want to pick something that's close. We want to pick, what I suggest, especially if you're new, you want to pick something that is either a first-time homebuyer neighborhood, or the best is, the first-time homebuyer neighborhood is good because their first-time homebuyers usually only stay in their house about 3 to 4 years, right? So they're going to have a lot more turnover. So finding out what the average sales price is in your area, and it's probably one level below that, okay? So our average sales price in our area here is about $200,000 to $220,000. A good farm area is going to be about $150,000 to $170,000, a neighborhood that has that. And then we can add on to these and get into bigger areas. But so picking that area, going in the MLS, pulling up the tag, pulling up the subdivision, whatever it is, and making sure that it does have turnover, okay? Making sure that there are homes selling in that area. And then going through and kind of evaluating and making sure that there's not already an agent that's totally dominating that area, okay? Like this agent I talked to last week, he dominates that area. He sold 32 homes in that area last year. He's dominated. It's harder to break in. Not saying you can't do it, but it's a little harder if somebody's already established in there, okay? So here's what we want to do is, okay, and let's assume that this farm area is 500 homes, Does that sound about right for a lot of areas where you can pick a subdivision, has about 500 homes? I know some subdivisions in California, like the minimum subdivision is like 2,500, and here we have subdivisions as small as like 10. Right? So, 500 homes, right? So what we want to do is we want to dominate this area. Okay, so the average, we want to hit everybody in this subdivision at least every 6 months to maybe once a quarter. Now, and this is just face to face. Okay, so this is door knocking, right? So if you go out there and let's say, so 500 divided by, well, let me see, 6 months. So we got 6 times 5 days a week, right? That's 30. Okay. So now we take the 500 divided by 30. So 16 people. All right. 16 people a day. Did I do that math right? Does that sound right?
Yeah.
Okay. That's all you have to hit. If you can go and hit 16 people a day, take you about an hour to walk a subdivision, right? And hit those people. Keep a list. I'll give you an example. This was, this was the election cycle 8 years ago, I guess. I always vote one party line, right? Pretty much. But I remember that this election cycle, and I don't get involved in like this was local. So this was like a school board something, and I didn't really care. But I'll never forget the day that I got a knock on my door, because I always work from home, and a knock on my door. I go to the door, and it was a politician, and this is all it was. He was like, "Hey, I'm John Smith. I just wanted to introduce myself. I'm running for the local school board. Here's a flyer. Do you have any questions?" I was like, "No," right? And that's all it was. I didn't know anybody else. Guess who I voted for on that election cycle? John Smith, right? Because I actually shook his hand. I knew who he was. I was like, wow, he's a hard worker. He's out there. So if you go out, hit 16 people a day, or just go down to 5, make a minimum of 5 a day that you're going to go knock on their door and actually talk to people in your farm. Here's the scripting. It's very simple. The first time you go out and you meet these people, you don't want to ask them or talk to them too much. You don't want to force real estate on them, nothing. I want you to have some type of flyer. It can be printed from your regular printer on neon paper, whatever. Knock on the door. Just have a business card if that's all you have. Knock on the door. When they answer, just say, "Hi, my name's Matthew Graham. I'm the local real estate expert for this neighborhood, plug-in neighborhood, Woodneath Farms, and I just wanted to introduce myself and ask you if you had any real estate questions." That's it. Yes, no. Some people say, "No, thank you." You hand them your card. That's it. Before you walk away, say, "Okay, great. Well, thanks for talking, and I'll see you in a couple months."
Hey,
Boom,
Matt, if you
walk
look at
away.
EXP Enterprise under the marketing tab, there is several door knocking flyers as well as hangers, etc. You can actually
Right. Yeah, you can make this double fold. Your goal is to talk to every single person in that subdivision, right? So print out a map of the subdivision. Most people have, you can get it on Google Maps. A lot of them, you can have the house numbers on there, the streets. Mark off when you talk to them. Keep notes of people you talk to. But if you hit 5 a day and talk to 5 people a day, within a year, you will dominate that subdivision. Okay, so you go be just the mere fact that you're in front of them, you've met them face to face, they're going to know who you are, right? It's more than any other agent is doing out there. Now like you said, you can take door hangers to hang if they don't answer, and then, make it double fold. And then I know we said, marketing on a 0 budget, but then you want to up that by sending them a thank you, right? After you talk to them, it was nice to meet you. If they talked about, if there's a dog there that's barking, build a rapport. And we won't go into a whole episode about how to build rapport. We've talked about that on a lot of our other classes, but build a rapport with them, talk to them, but make it a goal to door knock and talk. Now, I'm not saying door knock on 5. You need to talk to 5 people a day. So you may have to door knock on 25 to get 5 people that are home, right? Now,
Another thing, Matt,
Yep.
you may want to talk about is making sure that if you're not getting people when you go, you may want to change your time frame to maybe later in the afternoon or maybe on a Saturday and a Sunday afternoon, things like that nature.
Right. Were you going to say something, Shannon?
No.
Oh, okay. Thought I saw you getting ready to talk. Yeah. So, and don't discount them. If I was talking to this agent about this, and he actually said, he goes, there was one house that every time he went to, like, she wouldn't even open the door. She'd just say, just leave your stuff there, thanks, and she'd shut the door. And he's like, okay, and he'd leave stuff there. And he had been by over the year about 3 different times, and the same thing every time. She was like, no, just leave it there, just leave it there. And he was like, okay. Well, then he gets a call and a voicemail saying, hey, this is so-and-so. We'd like you to come talk to us about listing our house. He looked up the address, and he was like, this can't be right. This is the house. She gave me the cold shoulder every time, blah, blah, blah. Went over there, ended up listing the house, ended up selling him another house. And so don't discount him. And he asked him, he's like, you're the one that never answered the door, wouldn't talk to me. She's like, well, yeah, but, I have 2 small kids in here. I didn't know really who you were. After the 3rd time, I kind of knew who you were, but I still have little kids in here. I'm doing my thing. I'm not going to open the door for anybody, right? So don't discount people who act that way. As long as you have something to drop off and you're consistent, and let me say that again, consistent on doing this. I will put consistency above experience any day of the week. I have brand new agents that come in that come into my coaching, and if they're consistent, they're successful. Whether it's door knocking, flyers, drop offs, all that.
And just like that lady you talked about, Matt, and the old principle still stands true. When the student is ready, the teacher will show up. They've just got to know who the teacher is. And when they're ready, they're going to reach out to you. You just need to make sure you're consistently in their face to be that front line awareness like we always talk about.
Exactly. Now,
if I can chime in on this, if anyone I know in our MLS, but I don't know about all MLSs, there is a tool out there called Remine.
Yeah.
It is an amazing system. We can do an entire class on it probably. But it will narrow down who is likely to sell, who is not likely to sell, who is an absentee owner, how much equity they've got in their home, how many years they've been in their home. And so you take a subdivision like I do of 400 homes, and I can narrow it down to these are the 20 that I need to door knock.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
And you can take that also one step further. And I know, Matt, I don't mean to walk on you. I don't know if you're going to touch this later.
Go ahead.
But guys, as you start to move through these neighborhoods, you're going to learn when all of the homeowner association meetings are. You're going to learn when all these things start to happen. Make sure you show up and you're there. Secondly, you can create a landing page or whatever you want to create. WordPress has got several free sites out there that you can utilize and create a subdivision website, a subdivision Facebook page. Maybe they don't have one. Start to put in that subdivision. Now, this requires work, but it's free. It requires your time, but it's free. And what you can do is take and put, just record the notes as you're going through in the HO homeowner association meetings. Put that in their Facebook page. Put all of these different things. Then you create that subdivision, everybody coming into it, and it kind of starts to feed upon itself. And guess who's always at the top, always advertising, has admin rights and everything else? You do. And then that way you can continue to build yourself as the leading real estate agent in that entire community, and really build yourself up and get all the business out of it.
There's a great flyer within itself. So we're talking about having some sort of flyer, something to drop off. Mm-hmm. Okay, you build a Facebook group, right? You build a Facebook group for this particular neighborhood. And then if you want something to go drop off at the neighbors' houses, you create a bright pink or bright orange piece of paper, and you say, hey, we just created this new Facebook group. This is where we're going to be talking about yard sales. We're going to be talking about HOA stuff. We're going to be talking about anything going on in the community, blah, 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 blah. Please join it.
Exactly.
Your information on it, and boom.
We know next door is trying to fill that spot, but to a real estate agent, next door is trying to make money off of you. They're wanting you to buy this and buy that. Now, you can do the same thing with a Facebook group like Shannon's talking about.
Right. And go on to Nextdoor and send them to that page, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
absolutely.
Be careful, Nextdoor is flagging people like crazy right now.
Just you, not me.
Yeah.
They're flagging me like nuts.
Right. So again,
it seems like when they find you.
Let's go back to dominating this farm on zero marketing dollars, right? So we talked about consistency. So you want to get out either direct mail or flyers to them on a minimum of once a month, preferably twice a month. Now, how do we do that at a zero cost? Again, it goes back to being that connector that we talked about earlier. Go to the local restaurants, and I'm talking the mom and pops, right? So I know in an area that I market, there's it's called Nikki's Pizza, right? Great little pizza shop. It was actually voted, #1 pizza place, I think, north of the river in all of Kansas City. Well, Nick and I are friends, right? So how can I get the cost of these flyers done? Well, you can find high school kids that will go drop off these flyers for literally 10, 15 cents per door, which is a lot less than postage. But you can also go to all these business owners and have them develop coupons for their business, right? Mm-hmm. Hey, here's what I'm going to do. This neighborhood that sits right next to your shop, twice a month, I'm going to go drop off flyers that's promoting my real estate business. I would like you to be on the bottom or the back or wherever. I would like you to come up with a coupon and help cover the cost of this, right? All you need is 3 or 4 businesses close by that are willing to do that. Believe me, they all have marketing budgets. They're going and paying some of these other companies thousands of dollars to hit those same people, and you can do it at a fraction of the price and get those referral partners in there. And then guess what? When they're inside of Nikki's Pizza and they come in with a coupon that has, free appetizer or add free toppings, or it doesn't have to be anything big. It gets their name out, it brands them, and it also brands you. So when they come in and hand that, they know, that they're working with you. It's just all around helps everybody. So within your niche, you can find so many small businesses right there on the Facebook group. Ask any small businesses that would like to be part of your referral network on the Facebook group. When you're door knocking, say, again, so we talked about what you say the first time. We don't want to talk a lot about real estate, right? The next time we door knock them, we want to come up and ask more survey. What I do is I carry a survey. Hey, again, I met you 3 months ago. I try to get around at least once a quarter and meet everybody in the neighborhood. I'm your local real estate expert. I was wondering if you had a quick 2 minutes for me to go through a survey. I'm trying to build a Facebook group to help other people who want to move into this neighborhood know about this neighborhood. You have just a second? If they do, yes. If they don't, okay, great. Hand them the flyer that talks about the Facebook group. But some basic questions you can ask are, what attracted you to this neighborhood, right? If you were to move, where would you go next? Okay. Then when they say that, say, well, when would that be, right? So just ask them basic, why did you move were the schools important to you? You have it can be anything just to get them into conversation and dialogue. The key is, if you were to move somewhere else, where would you move next? Mm-hmm. Right? They say, well, actually, we love the area, so we're thinking about getting into a bigger house, so we'd probably just move right over here to this neighborhood, which is right next door to us. Great. Well, when would that be? Right? So were the schools important to you when you moved into this neighborhood? Oh, yeah, they were very important. Our kids are 3 and 5. Write all that stuff down. Okay? And then at the end, would you want to be part of our newsletter about the neighborhood? If you would you mind giving me your email address?
Name and, yeah, absolutely.
Building it up that way. So, again, we're connecting with them. The goal is you want to connect with everybody face-to-face at least 4 times a year in your neighborhood, in your farm. You want to send them out marketing material. And here's the basics on the marketing material, right? Like Craig or like Shannon said, it can be as simple as join our Facebook group for ABC neighborhood, right? And that's there. And then it has you as local, neighborhood expert. The other things are just what I call signs of success, right? So send out signs of, so what is a sign of success? Sign of success is a just sold postcard, right? It's a just listed postcard. And it doesn't necessarily have to be in that subdivision. It can be anything that you just listed or just sold. If you haven't done anything like that, pull up your company's just sold. Say, we just sold in the last 2 months these properties, and have pictures of the properties, right? And maybe the sold price. And it's,
Matt, you can do the same thing even if you're not this list or sales agent. Just create a flyer with all the solds and subdivisions and send it out. Just create a Facebook group, and post all the solds that have happened in there and probably the sales price. I mean, there's nothing that says you have to, have the other agency's name in there.
Market update. They want to know what the market. So you can do that on a quarterly basis, right? So the key is coming up with all this ahead of time, coming up with 12 things you're going to send out ahead of time. Well, once a quarter, you're going to send out a quarterly sales report of what's sold in there, right? So that takes care of 4 of them. Another time, you're going to send out a just sold flyer. We just sold, and you can just pick in the last month, right? So that takes care of 4 of them. You do that once a quarter. A testimonial postcard. So get a testimonial from 3 of your clients and just put those 3 testimonials on a flyer or postcard, right? You could send
and understand, guys, your KV Core system can do most of these things that he's talking about. When you go into and doing IDX links and all these other things under, that section within KV Core, you can do multiple properties and you can break those down into subdivisions, et cetera, and it'll do all of this for you to where all you have to do is push 2 buttons and it's printed out.
There you go. So the key is consistency. So we're face-to-face with them 4 times a year. You do this and you will dominate your market. You will get the majority of the listings in your market. Now, that takes about a year before you dominate, but, this is a marathon, not a sprint. Once you dominate that area, you don't let anybody else in, right? Mm-hmm. You just don't do it.
But Matt, you need to touch. They have to keep that ball rolling, because if they drop it, there's going to be somebody else just waiting to take it back from them.
Right. Now, you can expect with consistency on meeting them and getting out flyers that that you can zero base, because you're going to go to your local, business owners, and they're going to cover the cost of those. You probably don't give up. It takes about 6 months before you start seeing results on the farming, right? So I want you to have it out there that you're going to, and sometimes it's 8 months, sometimes it's 4. The average is 6 months. You can't give up, and you have to stay consistent. I'm telling you right now, if you do this and you miss 1 month of not getting something in front of them, you're starting all over again. Mm-hmm. You miss 1 month, it's going to be 6 months from that month. So if you go 5 and you haven't gotten anything and you stop for a month, you're starting all over again. So sit down, get your pad of paper out, write down exactly what you're going to get out, spend 1 hour figuring out what it is, and just repeat. I don't care if you send the same exact thing out every single month.
As long as it's something, yeah.
As long as you have your face on there, your name on there, it's real estate related, and it has something of value for them. So if it's literally a market stats every single month, send that out every single month. Just be consistent.
Matt, and the thing I know you're probably fixing to say, but I just want to clarify it. I mean, if you're just going to send something out one time, don't waste your money. Just simply don't waste your money. Don't send it out. You have to be consistent.
Right. So the last thing you want on there is a call to action. So call me today, just have a call to action. So I know we've got about 10 minutes left, and this is all about generating leads on a zero budget. So I want to spend the last 10 minutes, either Shannon or Craig, you guys are great with KV Core, kind of jumping in there and just showing the basics real quick on where we post, maybe into either Nextdoor or the groups in Facebook, and just go on there and show them for zero budget in literally 10 minutes how we can go in, post something up there that generates leads. Craig, do you want to do that?
The only thing is I have a PC, so I can't really share my screen with also in Zoom. I am working on getting a Mac, but I haven't went there yet. But one thing, guys, I need you to understand, in KV Core, you can take and go in the lead generation section, create either a single property if you've got a listing you want to push, multiple properties if you want to do, say, foreclosures. You've got drop-down lists you can do. If you advertise for foreclosures, everybody out there is looking for a deal. You're going to get a ton of leads. Every time I've done one, I think the minimum amount of leads I got was in about 12 hours, I got about 85 leads. It is amazing how they're going to push. Now, you can do homes with a pool. You can do that 4th bedroom. You can do a certain subdivision. You can do all of these different things in criteria. You then take that and you roll it into posting it into Facebook groups or your own personal pages, etc., within Facebook. And those folks will click on it. Now, a lot of times the images on those ads, the previews that it generates isn't what you're going to like. So I found anyimage.io. Again, it's anyimage.io. You can go in and adjust the photograph, actually create the ad you want it to post. It's got a copy link on it, and then you can move forward that way and use it to make it look any way you want to. I've even got one talking about August in Louisiana. As everybody knows, August in New Orleans area is horrible. So I've got a cow jumping into a swimming pool, and it says, in August in Louisiana is only good for one thing. Everybody jump in, including, and then the cows are jumping in and everybody else. So, and what that links to is homes with a pool in certain areas, and I just run it that way. Shannon, you got anything?
Well, I mean, stuff that we've always gone over as far as, with KV Core. I mean, does anybody need to?
Why don't you, jump on there, show your screen, and just show a quick squeeze page on maybe posting foreclosures, just doing foreclosures, and then let's post it to a group, because like Craig said, he can generate 85 leads by just running this one post.
Absolutely. Yeah. So let's see if we go into.
I could just get somebody to call all my leads. I would appreciate it.
Yeah, that's the problem I've got right now. I've got so I got a ton of them coming in and getting backed up on them, right?
Well, it's hard for me to find somebody that wants to work hard.
But yeah, so I mean, just to give you an example, I mean, here's the leads that I've generated over the past couple of days just from running those ads. I mean, you can see, quite a few. And some people on here may not have KV Core. But anyway, you just go over to your lead engine over here. And then you can either create a landing page or a squeeze page. I have found out that the squeeze pages get better results than the landing pages. Craig, would you agree with that?
Totally. I don't even use landing pages anymore.
Yeah, I don't use them either. So we're just going to go ahead and dive in here. And then if you're going to build a multi-property, a single property, or a seller squeeze page, these are the 3 links up here that you're going to use. But you can basically just go in and put in the criteria. So let's say that I want to do Mooresville, right? So Mooresville's an area here. Computer's moving slow. There we go. And it has to auto-populate, so you click on City Mooresville, if it'll do it for me. Again, I think my internet's moving slow.
Shannon's in North Carolina, so they just went through a pretty major hurricane.
Yeah, we're lucky to even have internet right now. So a lot of people still don't even have power. So, but really, I don't mess with any of this stuff except for single family. Okay, and then
I don't even put that, Shannon.
You don't?
No,
okay.
I don't even put single family.
Okay, well, I typically do because I don't do a whole lot with condos, but you can if you want to, and then you can put in multiple areas here if you want to do that as well. Now, any of this other stuff I don't mess with except for right here under options.
Yeah.
In my opinion, I think they should move the options button up here to where it's more predominant. Okay.
Absolutely.
But The ones that work the best are just listed.
Mhm.
Fixer Upper is huge. Open House is great on a Thursday or Friday because you can pull up all your areas and say, look at all the open houses in one location. That gets a lot of attention from me. Here, golf course, pool, waterfront, water view, of course, those are huge. Reduced foreclosure, short sale, very, very, very good ones. Believe it or not, I have tried this one recently, just playing around. Lease to own is very good. There's not a lot of homes, but people think they get a deal when they do this lease to own thing. Okay.
Right.
Same thing with reduced and foreclosures as well.
Exactly. No HOA fees. That seems to be good. And master on main. Those are really the best ones. But if you really want to pull in some serious ones right here, just go reduced or foreclosure, something like that. Over here, you're going to name it. I would name it the same thing, Mooresville reduced. Okay.
And what that's going to let you know is just where it came from. That's all that's going to let you know. When it comes in, it'll say source and it'll tell you.
Exactly. And hashtag Mooresville. So you want to hashtag. If you don't hashtag, it's not going to know how to associate that particular lead. So if you have a buyer campaign set up and you've got it set up to go to a certain hashtag, you don't hashtag it and it's a buyer lead, it's not going to know to go to that particular one. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So hashtag reduced. Okay. Reduced price, or let's see, reduced. Okay. All right. And so there, I don't mess with any of this, the Facebook cover photo. I just click generate link. Okay. And then you're going to copy that link. And then you're going to either go over to one of two places. You could either go over to your social media, to Facebook, or I like to use a program called Hootsuite. There is a free version of Hootsuite. Then there is a paid version of Hootsuite. But what I like about Hootsuite is it allows me the opportunity to post to multiple sites at one time and schedule outposts so that I don't have to necessarily go in and keep doing the same post over and over and over. Give you an example. So right here I want to say check out the homes in Mooresville that are reduced price today. And then
Capitalize home.
what's that? Oh yeah, home. Yeah. And yeah, check out the homes in Mooresville. Right. And so here I'm going to go in and I'm going to put in link. Okay. And I'm just going to shrink it down. Ah, shoot. I put it in the wrong place. Hang on. And I'm going to put it in there like that. It's going to preview. It's going to bring up the preview. And then, of course, it cannot go out to Facebook personal page anymore. That's a new Zuckerberg rule. But it can go to your Twitter, your business pages, your Google Plus, your LinkedIn, your Instagram, all that. And if you've got any other pages that you manage, you can put it out there as well. And so
there's no way to automatically post in groups, huh, that you set up?
No, you cannot. No,
Okay.
no. They don't allow that. I don't know if that's coming or not, but right now they don't allow it. Now you can either send it now, right? Or you can go in and schedule it out for a later date. So you click on, hey, if I want to send it out tomorrow morning at 8 a.m., then I can do that. Okay? So right now we don't want to schedule it. Right now we want to send it today. Oh, now it's going to make me schedule it. All right. So, yeah, it's telling me now it won't let me. Let's see, clear. That's probably cleared the whole thing. I knew it did.
Yeah, why don't you go into, just real quick, go into Facebook and just show how you post in a group, because I think that's one of the best ways to generate the leads is posting in.
Absolutely. So people ask me all the time, should I have a Facebook business page? And the answer is yes, you need a Facebook business page, because you cannot boost and you cannot there's a lot of things that you cannot do from your personal profile page. Okay. So I recommend highly having a Facebook business page. So here we go. check out these waterfront homes for sale in Denver, see the entire list here. So now I can do one of two things. I can either boost this post, very inexpensive. I do $7 for 7 days, and I boost it in a certain area, that we can, that we can do that. Or I can click on share right here. You see where it says share in a group? I click share in a group. And here I'm going to put in, so yard sales, right? There's plenty of yard sales. North Iredell and surrounding area yard sale. That would be for Mooresville, which is close to Denver. So then I can go ahead and put that in there, and I can click post. And that one, it says it was sent for approval. It may get flagged in that one, but it would give you an idea of how you just post in certain groups.
So the groups, I think, are key, is posting in these groups. And you can post in groups from your personal page. You don't have to have
Now, I have boosted posts, just to let you guys know. And it, for me, in my area, it works probably 20 times better if you post in groups instead of boosting a post.
Okay. All right.
In my
I get
area.
flagged a lot here, so I have to be very careful. I constantly get flagged for posting in groups and next door. Matter of fact, I had some nasty emails from next door the other day.
I'm just
guys, I guess it's just relative, because I've posted hundreds and they've never flagged me, never even said a word to me yet. I think Matt has done the same thing. So I think it must be the region you're from.
Yeah, and I think that's the importance of having at least 100 groups that you're a member of as well. So in our more in-depth training, we don't have a lot of time for this, but we recommend that you join 5 to 10 groups a day, no more than 10 a day, because you can get flagged for joining too many groups too quickly. But if you join 5 to 10 a day, join 5 to 10 a day, you join these groups, and that gives you a lot of groups to post in. Then if you just go in and post 10 a day, right, after you've joined 100 groups, you're always rotating those different groups. So, and that's the key. Literally, and once you have one ad done up, that one link after you've created in KV Core, you can go post that in 10 groups within about 2 or 3 minutes. And that you do that once a day in 10 different groups every day, you will generate a ton of leads. And then you get the good problem of what Craig was talking about earlier, being able to follow up with all those leads. But I'd rather have way too many leads to follow up with than none.
Absolutely.
So, that kind of wraps it up for our training today. We're going right now straight into talking about learning about EXP. Craig Shannon will let you take that. I'm going to stop the recording.